get started by sharing something in the chat that you are grateful for today. And I don't believe a lot in public display of affection. Heather's going to laugh when I say that. However, I am super grateful for Adam this week. He has taught me a lot of lessons in the last couple of days. And normally I'm the one, I did a little post on my social media. So for those of you that saw it, but normally I'm the one that's like, Miss Positive, and something occurred with him that just sent me over the edge. And any of you that are protective human beings, that was what kicked in for me. And so it was interesting. So I told him I just was grateful for his response, because on the times that I don't have a positive response, he does. And so we really balanced each other out this week. So something in the chat that you are grateful for. I really believe that when we come from a place of gratitude, our whole mindset can change. And it can really put us in a different perspective. Health has been a huge one right now. Family, love that. Several of you guys are saying that. Yes, Katie, I saw that you're in Florida. Health, yes. Oh, Angie, I cannot wait to get my knee healed because I miss doing my hot yoga so bad.
Yeah, it's whipping my butt.
It's the best. You feel so good afterwards. Jenny Madio's done some hot yoga before with me. I see her driving in the car. Don't unmute. But don't you feel so good afterwards? It's the absolute best. So love that. Okay, so would love comments in the chat from the January mindset challenges. For those of you that did one of them or any of them, what did you think? What did you like the book? Did anybody make the pizza? Did you listen to the podcast? Any comments in the chat on that? Would love to hear from you guys. And oh, good. Heather focused on staying focused on her food. Good. Love that. That's awesome. I did the same. Every time I come here, I normally get tacos from, I think it's called Condado. I don't know how to say it, but somebody will know. And last night I drove all the way to Whole Foods and got something whole and healthy instead of getting my tacos. So I feel you, Heather, on that. Wow, 55 pounds. That is awesome. 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 Angie, I knew you would love Chase the Lion. Yes. So thanks for those of you that are sharing and participating in that. And I wanted to start really quick by sharing with you the February challenges. So they are all new. So our mindset activity for February is going to be to watch the last blockbuster on Netflix. If you have not already seen that, I would highly recommend that you watch that. That's going to be our mindset activity. And I'm going to explain to you why in just a minute. Our journal topic is to take your intentions for the year and then journal out 3 to 5 small habits that you need to put into place to achieve them. And when I say small, like they're supposed to be super small. So for instance, Craig Groeschel said in his podcast that if you have a intention for this year of taking more vitamins, then your habit should be that you physically put your vitamins next to your sink, so that when you brush your teeth every single morning, you see them there and you take your vitamins. Or maybe you put them on your nightstand so that as soon as you go to bed, I don't know if you're supposed to take vitamins at night, but you get the point. What you have to put the small habits in place to be able to get those intentions. Your affirmation of the month is going to be, I'm surrounded by people who lift me up and make me better. And we're going to talk a little bit about that today. And for those of you who want a verse of the month, it is going to be Proverbs 13:20. Your act of kindness is going to be to choose one time this month to leave an outrageous tip to someone serving you in any capacity. And outrageous doesn't mean if you normally leave 10, leave 20, like leave an outrageous tip to someone serving you. And then our book is going to be Find Your Yellow Tux. I know many of you have this. Some of you have read it. Some of you have not. And no matter what realm of the world you're in, whether you're in real estate or you're not, or you are in business or you're not, or maybe it's even just you are like crushing it at your parent game, I think you'll still find value out of this. I said I was not going to shamelessly plug any of our podcasts. And here I am in the second month doing it. However, I'll explain to you why in just a second. And then I'm giving you a healthy recipe. So the last blockbuster, has anybody seen this? Type in the chat if you have. It's great. And I just thought it was really powerful. And the reason why I want you guys to watch this is because no matter what business or industry you're in right now, you should be thinking about how to scale, how we can protect what we have and how to keep evolving and growing. Because at one point, Blockbuster was it, right? Like whoever thought that we would never walk into a Blockbuster to watch a movie again. And so I just want you to think about that. And I put a little plug in here too for some of you. It'll give you this like nostalgic feeling because I can remember. I'm like, man, I was kind of sad. And so here's the book, Find Your Yellow Tux. This is all about standing out and thinking of ways to set yourself apart. And it'll get your creative juices flowing, even if you are not a creative person. Here's why I want you to listen to this episode if you haven't already. Believe it or not, and this is the reason why I picked this for this one. Believe it or not, this podcast that Linda and I released last week on burnout has been downloaded more than any podcast like in the last 12 months that we've released, which tells me that a lot of people are experiencing burnout, or they are worn down, or they're just, I mean, it's everywhere. And so that was kind of one of the reasons why we did that. And I have gotten more people have texted me and emailed us over this episode and the one that was released this week than any that we've gotten in a really, really, really long time. And so I would love for you to do that. And then I'm a huge taco fan. So I picked this one for the healthy recipe of the month. And the one thing I'll tell you about this really fast is this Siete brand is like the only one that is supposed to be like the best of nothing bad in it whatsoever. And it's at Whole Foods. So I'll share that for you. So with that, I want to give you a quick mindset lesson today. And it's from a podcast that I listened to with Ed Milet, where he interviewed Trent Shelton. For those of you that have never heard Trent Shelton, he's a huge inspirational speaker. He was a professional football player. And he has had some crazy things happen in his life. And this episode was really, really good. So I want to talk about mindset and rest and a little bit of burnout with that. So I want you to read these top words and see if any of them resonate with you at all. Burnout, hurry, no time, rushing. In fact, I was rushing out of my hotel this morning and Adam said, fitting that I was FaceTiming with Adam. He said, fitting that you're grabbing all your crap and rushing out the door and you're talking about rushing today. I was like, I know I needed it. So that's why I'm talking about it. Can't catch up, not enough hours in the day, worry, not present. And so those are a lot of words that I think that we hear a lot now, almost more than we ever have before. And that was a big reason again why we did the podcast. This week we dropped an episode on Tuesday with an interview with a agent. She's a business owner, a top realtor. And she talks about, Dawn, if you didn't listen to that from yesterday, you would love it. She talks about in, I think it was 2019 or 20, I can't remember the year. She made $1 million. She finally grossed $1 million, and her husband filed for divorce. And she goes kind of through the story of how her whole life has just been completely out of balance, and how it really was the kind of the catalyst for pushing her over to really thinking about how she wanted to spend her life. So anyway, so in all of these words, she said, so Trent Shelton talks about protecting your peace, and his definition of that is disconnecting from the world and actually reconnecting to your soul. And I don't know about you guys, but I feel as if it's very difficult to disconnect from the world right now. It's everywhere. And especially with social media. So he really talked a lot about what are the things that take away from your energy. Some of them we can't get away from, right? Like you might be like, oh my gosh, I don't have any time because I'm doing stuff with my kids all the time, or I'm constantly doing stuff with my job or my work. And those are things that are normal. They're just life, right? We can't get rid of our kids, and most of us have to work. So we just have to kind of figure out a way to push through some of those things. But some of the things that we have, we can actually get rid of to get our energy back. It may be like I've talked about, and now Heather has talked about, Heather Stanich, bad foods. It may be social media. It may be toxic people in your life. But he really talked about what can you move away from or change so that you can actually move towards rest and peace. He said a couple of things to do is to come up with a great morning routine to enter your day in a great state. And I, for many, many, many years, entered my day in a hectic, crappy, stressful state. And only probably over the last 3 to 4 years have I changed that. And I really don't like to do things before 9 a.m. because I like to have the morning for me, to be honest. And it's been a game changer. It doesn't happen every day, but it happens more than it used to, and it's really good. So Trent talks about AM and PM routines, and I just think these are really great. He calls them automatic minutes and purposeful minutes. So your automatic minutes they're going to happen no matter what. Those would be the minutes that you sleep, the minutes that you work. You have to have those, right? They're automatic minutes. And then your purposeful minutes are spending time either on your mission or with the people that you care about and love. And so if we can get into a routine with knowing how to have our purposeful minutes, then that's what's going to set us up for success in a big way. He said, this is really tiny, so I'll read it to you. How can you bring more of these minutes into your life? And how can you be more purposeful with those minutes? So spending time on your mission or spending time with the people that you love. And really spending time on your mission just means the things that are really important to you right now. And for some of you, that may be work. You may be in a supercharge year where you're like, I need to crush it for the next 3 years so that then I can go do something different. Or you may be totally spending a lot of time on that. And you might need to figure out how you can get more purposeful to spend time back with your family or your friends to be able to get more rest. And also remember that totally pulls you out of burnout. I did think that this is interesting. Rest is for those of you that are spiritual, rest is mentioned 257 times in the Bible, more than a lot of other things that we put before rest. Rest is mentioned. So that means that it's important and we can't ignore it. And this is a really great quote, and I don't know where I got this, but I had it in my journal and I found it this morning. We cannot be people that refresh others when our own lives are at capacity and without margins. And I'm hoping that hits somebody else besides me, like it hit me, because that's a pretty powerful statement. And rest isn't to be earned, it's a gift. It's one that's meant to be opened and enjoyed and accessed at all moments. And so one of the things that Trent and Ed Milet talk about in the podcast is common sense isn't always quite so common. And that's why we need reminders of these things. And Alicia's podcast this week, I mean, that was a huge reminder. I had people texting me, and Linda did yesterday. You guys, honestly, true story, saying, I made the most money I ever made in my life last year. And I'm in the most my relationship is the worst it's ever been since I've been married. I mean, that podcast was a great reminder for a lot of us of a lot of things. And a lot of times when we think that those things are common sense, but the reality is that it's really not so common a lot of the times. So he says almost does the things that they need to do to get right with inner peace and have rest. So a lot of times, okay, that's kind of hard to explain, but or the sentence might not be worded correctly, but what he says is a lot of times we get ready to do these things and we say, well, we almost are to the point where we can do this, or well, if I just do a couple more, 2 more years of doing this, then I'll be ready to relax and have peace, or I can rest or whatever. And the reality is that we need to actually not look at it that way. He talks a lot about we won't get rid of toxic people. And that is a huge thing in our lives. And I actually, I was talking to, I think a couple, Heather and Nancy, and I shared this with Adam. And when you work with or you're around people that you like, that's the difference between loving what you do and being miserable with what you're doing. And that has been one of the biggest lessons that I've learned over the last several months, to be honest. And it's the people. I mean, they make everything, honestly. They totally make everything. And so for a lot of different reasons, sometimes we don't get rid of toxic relationships that are in our life. And so he gave this great example. He said, picture everything in your life as soil. And then each and every one of us is a seed. We have seeds of greatness. We have seeds of generosity. We have seeds of growth. We have seeds of success. We have all these different seeds. But when you put your seed in toxic soil, we actually won't produce what we're supposed to produce. And so he said, ask yourself, what type of soil are you putting your seed in? Because a great seed in toxic soil actually won't produce great fruit. He said people are afraid of confrontation or to be alone, so they keep toxic people around them. And you never can truly rest when you have toxic people in your life. And I know this is like going a little deep, but probably all of you can think about somebody that's in your life that's toxic. It might be a family member, it might be a friend, it might be somebody you work with. But the reality is that a lot of times those toxic people or the toxicity of the environment, it causes us to have burnout, and it keeps us from having rest, and it puts us in a not great mindset. He said he does believe people come, and I believe this a lot, people come into your life for a season to teach you a lesson at that time. But just because somebody came in your life doesn't necessarily mean that they're in your life for the rest of your life. And he actually told a story about his dad, who I think was 74 when he passed, which is really young. However, he said that he only had about 2 people in his life that he was friends with from since like the beginning, like school, like grade school. Everybody else were people that came in his life and went out of his life. And I think that we all can experience that, and we all can think of people and think of those situations. But the reality is that if we truly want to avoid burnout and rest, a lot of times it has to do with the people that are around us. So I want to leave you guys today with a couple of questions, and I really want you to think about this, especially those of you who are experiencing burnout. And for those of you that aren't and you're feeling really rejuvenated, to be honest, I was major burnout at the end of the year, and even at the beginning of the year on our first week of January, we were on vacation, and I normally am like super into my goals and redoing my calendar and getting everything ready. And I really struggled with it this year, like to the point of Adam was like, okay, we have to go do our planning. So you've got to get it together. And I'm like, I just was not into it. And that's never happened to me before. And I think I was burnt out. I mean, I think everybody feels that. And I think we're lying if we don't at some point in our life admit that we have it. Although over the last couple of weeks, honestly, I think that's why I got COVID in January, which of all the months to get it, I was like, this is ruining my whole year. But I really think now I look back, I'm like, man, that was such a blessing, because for those 2 weeks, I did nothing but rest. And it got me in a completely different headspace. I worked on my vision for the year. I worked on our mission. I worked on our values. I worked on figuring out how I can prioritize things and not feel burnout at the end of this year like I did last year. And so I think that it was a blessing. So I want you guys to ask yourself first, do you feel burnout right now? And if so, in what areas of your life do you feel it the most? Because it could be different for everybody. And then the second question is, how are you treating rest in your life? Like, do you actually honor a full day of rest? I know most of us probably don't. And what areas do you need to be more intentional with rest? And I don't necessarily think that rest is like you stay in bed all day and watch Netflix. I used to think that that's what rest was, and I don't think that that's what rest is now, because you're, depending on what you're watching, you might not really be totally resting your mind. And really, when you rest, you need to be pouring back into your soul. Like, that's what's going to give you rest. You need to be pouring back into your mindset, and you need to be refueling and refilling yourself so that you can truly have and experience the rest. He left the podcast with a really powerful quote, and I wanted to share that with you guys. He said, if you can't change the situation, you must change your mindset. And this is called perspective. And that's power. And so some people, like he shared that he lost 3 people. I mean, they died that were really close to him. His mom and his grandmother being 2 of those 3 people. Another was one of his best friends he played professional football with. And he said that the deal was he got kind of depressed, honestly, over that. And his mindset was not in a good place, and he was burnt out. However, he said that he really told himself that's a situation that he can't change. I mean, you can't change when somebody's dead, right? I mean, you can't bring them back. We're not Jesus. So we must change their mindset. We have to change our mindset around it. And that's what's called perspective. And so I know I don't want you guys to leave feeling down after this Wednesday morning. I want you to feel good and in a great mindset space. And the way that I want you to do that is I want you to really think about, if you can't change the situation that you're in, then you have to change your mindset. And that's the whole reason that we've done these for 70 something weeks now, because when our mindsets aren't healthy or in a good space, then it's easy to shut down. It's easy to feel burnout. And here's the other thing too. If you aren't feeling burnout right now, I can almost promise you that one of the closest people around you is feeling it. And so if you're in a great space right now and you're like, man, I'm feeling rejuvenated. Like, honestly, I'm kind of feel rejuvenated right now. So I really want to go see who is around me that is feeling totally burnt out and what I can do to help them. because if they can't change the situation, we can help them change their mindset. And then that's what's going to give them the power to continue to do that. So I hope that you found value in this. And for those of you that are burnt out, hopefully these action steps will help you a little bit. You should definitely go listen to the podcast. It's the Ed Milet podcast. It was a long one. It was over an hour. So I like barely skimmed the surface of it with what I shared with you today. I think it was the 2 or 3 episodes ago. I don't have it in front of me to tell you the number, but you can go and find it. And then I would just encourage you guys to answer those questions. And then also just be mindful of the people that are around you right now. Because I do think that I talk to a lot of people on a daily basis. And I do think that we have a lot of people that are still going through a lot of burnout, to be honest, and just a lot of not great mindset spaces. So I would just encourage us to be able to go out and help those people. And if you are one of those people, then let's work on it together, and we can all get a healthier mindset together and push through burnout and go do great things. So, and if you need like a pick me up, just text me. I'll help you. And on the days that I can't help you, I'll send you to somebody else who is having a great mindset that day, and they'll help you, and we'll just help each other. So hope you guys have a great rest of your week. Thanks for being on, and I will see you next Wednesday. See you guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.